You're right about one thing. The woke media has been working overtime to do damage control for this thing. And whenever you have a show where you have to launch preemptive strikes against the fans before it even comes out, that they in all likelihood know they've got a massive shit show on their hands. Well, here it is. Jeremy, 27% by the fans on Rotten Tomatoes. That is the lowest score we've seen in Star Wars history. Worse than anything. Worse than The Last Jedi. Worse than the Clone Wars movie, okay? But we're talking about some historically bad things, and this is at 27%. And every time the critics love something and the fans hate it, what do we hear? Review bombing, review bombing, review bombing. The Acolyte, review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. The Acolyte faces backlash and divided Star Wars fandom with review bombing affecting ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. Review bombing drowns out any legitimate criticisms, harming constructive feedback. And I know you replied to that tweet that they put out that they're getting ratioed on.
Yes.
Where they said there's a lot of, half-star reviews that aren't very detailed with people who have only reviewed one thing. That was their excuse for the review bombing, right? And we're just seeing this shit repeated on website after website. Review bombing, review bombing, review bombing. You know what? Should we look at some of the reviews, Jeremy?
Let's look at some of these reviews because we've talked about this time and time again. Review bombing. Is review bombing a thing, Ryan? Yes.
For sure.
But not just negative. And this is the narrative that they try to spin with it. There are positive review bombing situations and negative review bombing situations because that's what's called fandom. Fandom is always passionate. I talked about this in my video. Christopher Nolan fans, Zack Snyder fans, Quentin Tarantino fans, what do they all have in common? They are passionate as fuck about their favorite director. And they will positively review bomb their favorite director's movies, regardless if they're good or not. Christopher Nolan is probably the worst of it. And that's because they will give his movies, again, I'm one of them, massively positive reviews across the board. They just do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with negatively review bombing something if you think it's a piece of shit. Passion has always existed in fandom. Did the prequels get review bombed, Ryan? No. People didn't like the fucking prequels. Me and you liked the prequels, and a lot of people liked the prequels. But just because the prequels got a lot of negativity doesn't mean that it was review bombed by toxic trolls. It was review bombed by people that didn't like it, so they went in there and let people know they didn't like it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and it's always the same thing. It's only review bombing when the critics like something and the fans don't. That's when it gets labeled review bombing. But
yeah.
Like you said...
Refresh. It's down to 26% apparently, the Rotten Tomatoes score now.
Nice. Let's look at that.
That's what Yellow Flash said. So...
Where is it? Down to 26%. Look at that. We got another review bomb that just dropped. But we should go through a couple of these because there's 5-star reviews. There's half-star reviews. Here's James. He said he sat down with his 8-year-old daughter. Let's check his profile. He gave it a positive review. Well, he's reviewed The Marvels and The Acolyte. At least he's reviewed one other thing. Congratulations to him. What about Darius? Darius T. He sounds like a fan of mine. He gave it a half-star. Oh, shit. He's reviewed Black Adam and loved it. What the fuck's wrong with you, Darius? He's reviewed Pinocchio, didn't like it. He's reviewed Velma, he's reviewed Acolyte. Okay? Liked one thing out of the 4 things. That's one of those half-star, not very detailed things that they say are just people making up accounts to do this. What about Jake B? Well, Jake B's one of those people. Only reviewed one thing ever. Man, that's weird. Okay, so maybe you can justify that. What about Becca B? I think Becca B probably has a long list of ratings. Oh, shit. Becca B, who comes in just licking Leslye Headland's vagina, right? That's what she did in her review. 5-star. Only thing she's reviewed. Is
positive
this a
review
fake
bombing.
Review? Like
positive.
Fake positive review. Is that what it should be? Should we label it that? Mainstream media? Like, we can do this with the 5-star reviews as well. Oh, what do you know? Another one from, what the fuck is this guy's name? I don't even know where it went. David H. So you can do this. You can pick and choose.
Yes,
but the reality is, the vast majority of people do not like this show. The mainstream media can't handle it. They're running damage control, and they're claiming that every bad review out there, every half-star review, it must just be fake. And they're ignoring all of the what in their mind should be considered fake too, positive reviews.
Yes. I mean, again, tactic by the media constantly to dismiss. The Screen Rant article broke down all of the Disney Star Wars series. And it's almost like it was a self-own, because they showed Mandalorian season 1 and 2 both had 92 and 91% fan scores versus season 3 had a 51%. Andor had an 86, I believe. Yeah, there it is right there. So here you have it. Like, this just proves right here that the fans, just because Disney Star Wars is in a bad place, it doesn't mean that they're automatically going to give negative reviews just for the sake of negative reviews. Andor probably had the smallest audience of any series on this list, but it got an 86%. But guess what? Mandalorian season 1 had the biggest audience of any series on this list, and it has a 92%. Season 2 has a 91%, and then season 3 falls off a fucking cliff. But then you have something like the Book of Boba Fett. Well, I guess it's okay that the fans hated that because the critics also hated it too. So therefore, we didn't get any review bombing, narratives out there about the Book of Boba Fett. This is ridiculous. This right here proves, this just destroys their entire case. And it shows fans will positively respond if they like something. Simple as that.
It's them admitting, look, they say, what's remarkable here and indicative of review bombing is the sheer scale of the difference. Wow, if the critics who are preordained to love something because it's got a bunch of gays and blacks and disabled people and trans in it, right? Like, if they like something and the audience doesn't, then that means it's review bombing. If the fans disagree with us, that means it's review bombing. That's what they're saying.
Yes. Damn it.
Which is just bullshit. Review bombing and review boosting goes both ways. They never want to talk about one, but they're willing to talk about the other all day long.